want to include a very special welcome to our newest board member, Miss Nadine Spencer, who was sworn in on April 5th of this year. And also there was a press release from the board yesterday outlining and welcome, Ms. Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
At this point,
Welcome.
like to do our land acknowledgement. I will now read the Indigenous land acknowledgement. Although this meeting is taking place virtually, we acknowledge the land we are on. As we are holding this meeting is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat peoples, and now is home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. The board also acknowledges Toronto's covered by Treaty 13, signed by the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty signed with the multiple Mississauga and Chippewa bands. Pursuant to Section 12 of the board's procedural bylaw, the chair may at any time call a special meeting of the board on 24 hours notice, a condition that's been met in this particular case as the notice was sent out on Wednesday, April 12th at 7:56 a.m. The bylaw also provides that the notice of the special meeting will state the business to be considered at the special meeting, and no business may be considered at a special meeting of the board other than that specified in the notice unless approved by the board. As specified in this notice, today's special meeting deals with two very specific items. Number one, a reopening of the board minute pertaining to the 2023 meeting schedule to reschedule the April 2023 Toronto Police Services Board meeting, which was supposed to be held today, April 13th, 2023, and will be held on April 28th, 2023. The second item is conducting the election of an interim chair for the period of April 13th to our next board meeting of April 28th, 2023, inclusive. Deputants should be reminded that any deputation that does not clearly deal with these agenda items will not be permitted. And I need to remind the deputants of the following rules. Deputants are to keep their comments focused on the agenda item to which they are speaking. Failure to do so will warrant a warning from the chair and subsequently an end to the deputation. Deputants must be respectful and not use offensive language or words in making their deputation. Should a deputant continue in violation of the rules of the procedural bylaw, the chair may rule the deputation is concluded and or take steps to adjourn, recess, or suspend the meeting as necessary. Under the procedural bylaw, a deputant may not disobey a decision of the chair and must immediately withdraw where the chair has ruled the deputation's concluded. At this point, I'm going to ask whether or not there are any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Seeing none, let me proceed. And at this point, I will now turn it over to the board's acting executive director, Sandy Murray, who will go over today's meeting logistics. Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who has called into this special meeting of the board. Please note that this meeting is also being live streamed on the Toronto Police YouTube account and will be available there at the conclusion of the meeting. Along with Interim Chair Ann Morgan, joining us on the line, we have Vice Chair Francis Nunziata, Member Lisa Kostakis, Member Nadine Spencer, Councillor Vincent Crisanti, and Councillor Lily Cheng. We also have members of our board office staff and, of course, members of the public. We have individuals who have registered to make deputations virtually on our agenda items. As per our regular meeting process, deputations will be heard prior to the item being discussed and voted on by board members. When it comes time to do a deputation, those who have registered will be called to be brought into the meeting by our colleague Danielle Dowdy. And as always, deputants will speak, followed by an opportunity for board members to ask some questions. I'll now turn the meeting back to Chair Morgan.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. So the very first item I spoke about previously is the reopening of the minute P 2022-12-16 dash 5.0 Toronto Police Services Board 2023 meeting schedule to reschedule the April 2023 Toronto Police Services Board meeting from April 13th to April 28th, 2023. And I understand we have a deputy in relation to this particular item. And I'm wondering now, Ms. Dowdy, if you can bring, I believe it's Mr. Logenfeld on the line.
Yes, good morning, Chair Morgan. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Mr. Logenfeld.
It's, yeah, Langenfeld. And just to note, as I sent in an email, I wasn't able to access the meeting here by telephone. So hopefully the microphone continues to work here. This issue on this meeting, as we see, the fact is that the board is here today. The members are present. You're able to hold this meeting. Individuals of the members of the public actually have to book off work, usually last December, in order to book off all these days when you folks decide to hold these meetings in the middle of the workday. Of course, that's something that's been going on for years, and previous boards for over a decade have stated that they would begin holding some meetings in off hours so members of the public could attend without having to take a day off work. Instead, what we have today is we knew this meeting was coming. It was booked in December. Then as a last minute scheme here, we have the meeting being moved to a week and a half or whatever it is further out. That's inappropriate. There's no reason for this board to cancel this meeting. There is no justification given in any of the paperwork. The closest we get is an email that said something about a conflict or a schedule conflict. And the fact is, you only need, apparently it's 3 members of the board because as I understand, Ms. Spencer, although apparently she was sworn in a secret meeting, hasn't, of course, taken her oath publicly, which is required before somebody can act. So although she's here, I guess she's not technically a member of the board because she hasn't been sworn in and hasn't publicly sworn her oaths, which is, of course, as we saw in the U.S. Congress, where for weeks the entire government of the United States was shut down because they couldn't move forward with a swearing-in process. Clearly, that applies here. Obviously, had you properly managed this, we've known since April 30th, you sent out an email saying that you didn't want to show up to work today, and yet here you all are. There's a couple of members who, I guess, also booked the day off work, so they're here today to attend this meeting. And then you say, oh, well, we're not actually going to do something and book another day off work so that you can come back in a week and a half when we're ready to do our jobs. You should have been ready to do that before. There is no reason or legal justification for canceling this meeting and changing the meeting schedule. And I call on the members who are all here and able to move forward with this meeting to move forward with whatever items need to be dealt with before the end of May. And everything else can be put off till May, and you can go forward with the scheduled meeting on May 18th, where people that have booked off for work can actually attend the meeting. You have to wonder how many individuals are now going to be unable to participate in government. And we know that's a practice of this board and the Toronto Police Services Board over recent years to try and prevent the public from engaging in government and exercising their fundamental rights. And that is simply not permitted and violates, obviously, the Constitution. As I said, the board members should simply reject this call to put over this matter, and I hope you'll do that. I see the rest of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Langenfeld. Any questions of Mr. Langenfeld? Seeing none, I would like to move the following motion that the board reopen minute P 2022-1216-5.0, the Toronto Police Services Board 2023 meeting schedule to reschedule the April 2023 Toronto Police Services Board meeting from April 13th, 2023 to April 28th, 2023. Can I have a motion to approve?
Sorry, can I make a comment? Is there time to speak about it?
Please go ahead, Councillor Chang.
So I just wanted to say that I am not happy about this change myself because it means that I cannot join the meeting. So unfortunately, I have prior things scheduled that I cannot move. And so it's discouraging when we make a schedule and it's, hard. As a counselor, our schedules are very full. And once things start moving, as we experience with this meeting, I think we had 3 or 4 different times that went back and forth until we finally landed here. So I just wanted to say that I'm not happy about this schedule change, and I'm even more unhappy about the fact that I can't attend. So I just want that on the record. Thanks.
I appreciate that, Councillor Chang, and
I
it's
had a minute
one-
remaining on my time, Chair Morgan, and I'd just like to comment on what Councillor Cheng said. The fact is that your bylaws state that you shall not hold a meeting on a date that conflicts with anything that interferes with a councillor in attending these meetings. Therefore, it is illegal for you to schedule a meeting on April 28th. That is in the bylaws. You are not permitted to hold a meeting at the police board that conflicts with any councillor attending these meetings. So April 28th is off the board. Pick another date. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Langenfeld. And again, Councillor Chang, I do note your concerns. This was a rare scheduling incident that through much permutations and combinations could not be avoided. And so I appreciate and thank you for your comments on the record. I believe Councillor Nunziata, I had asked for a motion, and I believe you were the first person with your hand up. Thank you. Can I have a seconder?
I'll
Yeah,
second
Vince here. Okay.
it. Or Lisa.
Okay.
Anyone.
Thank you, Lisa. And at this point, as I spoke previously, item number 2 is the election of the interim chair from the period of April 13th to April 28th inclusive. We also have deputations on this item, both from Mr. Miguel Avila and Mr. Langenfeld. Ms. Dowdy, can we bring the first deputant on the line, please?
Okay, Miguel, I just sent you a request. Oh, there you are.
Yes, good. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thanks,
Okay.
Miguel.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for allowing me to speak on this important item. And sure, I just want to mention about the previous deputy. Good work, Chris, for bringing this out. That these hours are conflicting with everybody. Not everybody gets to work 9 to 5. So this is not the way to engage with the City of Toronto residents. It is my hope that today the City Ombudsman Kawame Ado is watching this meeting from City Hall, as well as the City Manager's Paul Johnson is taking note. I want to make a complaint with regards to City Appointment Secretariat. The delays that we have experienced so far have created just by nothing but chaos to the continuity of this board, combined by the sudden departures of Jim Hart, whose position hasn't been filled up until today, and then the suddenly retirement of member Morgan Ainsworth. So finding his replacement has been another challenge by the City Appointment Secretariat. And we know by experience how this office needs an investigation. So we hope that, my hope is that the City Ombudsman will have tools to help to improve this department moving forward. One of the questions I have for this board, I have attended religiously in person since the year 2010. I never have seen a member from the indigenous community sitting at the table. Never, not even one member. I wonder what is the problem. when we talk about truth and reconciliation with the city indigenous peoples, why are you rejecting the idea that an indigenous person cannot sit at this board when many of the decisions that you make affects our community? So I I want to know that answer because I have applied 4 times for the opportunity for the chair at this table. So, however, it seems that I am being blacked out. I am on some kind of blackout list that I cannot apply to serve my city. And you call it, diversity is our strength. I have a reply. Nothing about us without us. So it is my hope that moving forward also we avoid nominating Councilor Nanciata to be the chairperson of this board again for the obvious reasons I'm not going to mention. You all know that what happened last month when we tried to suppress freedom of expression, freedom of speech. So I also want to ask you, what is the role of Sandy Murray at this board? Can someone explain to us? Because all of a sudden, Sandy Murray is playing a big role at this board. Also, welcome, Nadine. And I'm so sorry that you were ignored for the last 3 days. The website coordinator needs to be reprimanded because those changes, as you said, she was sworn in on April the 5th. And that information was not transmitted on the police services board. And every communication we received from the TPS board, her name was not included. So moving forward, let's make clear channels of communication with the community. Again, meeting at this time of the day does not serve city engagement. And thank you, Chris, very much for keeping this city board accountable and transparent. And again, be like Councilor Lily Cheng. Ask the tough questions, friends. There's so many injustice in the city that needs to be brought up to justice. Remember that. You are servants of the public. You're not here to rubber stamp what Doug Ford is telling you to do. You understand? Because this board is controlled by the office of Doug Ford. Thanks God that we are going to have a new mayor elected coming soon, who probably is going to bring through accountability, through transparency of this board moving forward, because we Toronto taxpayers deserve that. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you very much, Miguel. I really appreciate your comments. And I believe also Mr. Langenfeld also has some further comments on this issue. Danielle, I wonder if we could make sure Mr. Langenfeld is on the line.
Yes, I'm back. And I note that it's procedural bylaw number 11.3 that says that regular meetings shall not be scheduled at a time that conflicts with a regular meeting or meeting previously called for the council of the city of Toronto or any of its committees on which members sit. So I also note that, of course, it was last meeting that Councillor Nunziata illegally chaired the meeting. And I have to ask Ms. Morgan, how is it that you can attend a meeting today remotely and chair it, and yet last time you had to illegally conspire with Councillor Nunziata to violate the Toronto Municipal Act in order to chair a meeting so that she could try and not only amend the bylaws and prevent Councillor Cheng from speaking, but specifically cut her off in the middle of her comments. And now we see that this board is conspiring to move this meeting to another date in order apparently to preclude Councillor Cheng from being involved. Meanwhile, looking at the chair issue here, and because of this ridiculous remote meeting that is of course also illegal because there is no legal basis for the chair to be able to, or for meetings now to be held remotely only. The law requires, the Police Services Act requires that police board meetings be open to the public, and having a meeting online does not legally qualify because those COVID acts have been repealed by the province, and so there is no legal basis. Meanwhile, I'm trying to find here to share the screen. Are you able to now see this section of the Police Services Act, or yeah, regulations?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So regarding the first of all, members of the police board shall attend and participate in meetings. This is from the Code of Conduct for members of police services boards, Ontario Regulation 421/97. The fact is that you members are there today for a meeting that was scheduled. You should be participating. I also note that, of course, it requires that members shall discharge their duties according to their oath of office and upholding the Constitution. And of course, we see that regularly isn't happening. Let's see if I can figure out how to advance this screenshot. Because of course, the Police Services Board and the City of Toronto use a ridiculous piece of software that nobody else uses. So, don't. Yeah, not sure how to. All right, are you able to see this now? The section of the bylaw 161?
Yes,
Yes,
we can.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, bylaw 161 of the board here requires that elections for chair and vice chair, section 5.1, that the chair and vice chair shall be elected for the year. So this idea that the ongoing process here of having people nominated for a couple of weeks or months at a time, I realize that that's a scheme where one member of the board can try and use their control over other board members to appoint people to collect the $98,000 chair's salary and be able to divvy that up among members and withhold payment for anybody that doesn't conspire with them to violate the laws of this country. And I hope those people go to jail for that. So moving on here, of course, we know Councillor Nunziata here under the Toronto Municipal Codes, Chapter 27, Section 6. The Speaker of the Standing Committee or Council shall not be the chair of the Toronto Police Services Board. And on November 23rd, 2022, Nunziata was nominated and became Speaker. And then, of course, the chair, the duties of a vice chair, which Nunziata is, the vice chair's duty is to take over for the chair if they're incapable of proceeding. And as we saw last time around, that ended up resulting in Nunziata illegally taking on the role of chair, and then of course violating the rights of an elected member and thereby violating the rights of all voters. And so the part of this election process has to be to nominate a individual who is legally capable of taking on the role of chair of the meeting, which Councillor Nunziata, Speaker Nunziata, is not legally entitled to do. And so that needs to change. And as for who's going to chair the meeting, whether it's Ms. Chen or Ms. Kostakis, Nadine is obviously too new and isn't officially a member of this board. And Ms. Morgan, we saw you conspiring last month with Councillor Nunziata to commit a crime. So obviously you shouldn't be doing it. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments, Mr. Langenfeld. At this point, does anybody have any questions of either Mr. Velarde or Mr. Langenfeld? Any comments? All right, at this point, seeing no questions or comments, I'm going to now turn the meeting over to Diana Akeem, who's our board administrator, to conduct the election. Diana?
Good morning, everyone. In accordance with the board's procedural bylaw, we will now hold an election for the position of interim chair. Nominations for the position of interim chair to serve the board for the period of April 13th today and until April 28th, the next regular board meeting will now be accepted. May I please have a nomination? Vice Chair Nunziata, thank you. Who do you nominate? Sorry, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay, so I'd like to nominate Ann Morgan.
thank you.
I will second the nomination. It's Lisa.
Thank you, Ms. Kostakis. Ms. Morgan, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Are there any further nominations for this time period for position of interim chair?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Are there any other further nominations for this position and for this time period? Hearing none, nominations for the position of interim chair for the period of April 13th to April 28th are now closed. Councillor Nunziata nominated Ms. Morgan, which was seconded by board member Lisa Kostakis. Is everyone in favor? Sorry, let me just make sure I see the. Okay. Any opposed? Thank you. The nomination carries unanimously. There being only one nomination for this time period, Ms. Morgan is elected as the interim chair for the period of April 13th to April 28th, when the next regular public meeting is scheduled for. Congratulations, Ms. Morgan.
Thank you, Ms. Akeem. Believe at this point we have no other business. And may I have a motion to adjourn?
I'm happy to move that. Councillor Crisanti.
Thank you. Any seconder?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ms. Kostakis. So the next board meeting, as we have indicated, will take place on Friday, April 28th at police headquarters at 9 a.m.
Okay, everybody. That's great. Thanks so much, Ann and everybody, and have a great day.
Have a
Everybody
great day,
have a
everyone.
great
Yeah,
day.
take care, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.
Maybe some of the board staff could just stay on.
We can call you because I'm not sure this is live stream, so I don't know. I'd rather do
Okay.
it.
Yeah, okay.